Everyone, this is the select board meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. This meeting hearing of the Ayer Select Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom and Channel 8. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID number 978-772-8220 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting. And with that, if I could ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do I have any amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
And chair says aye, the agenda is approved. All right, we have a couple announcements. Townwide cleanup is what date?
I have that on the screen.
Oh, you have it on the screen? Okay, great. Yep, it's on April 25th, 2026, starting at 8:30 a.m. and you meet at Sandy Pond Beach. All right. And then the next one, and this is the one y'all been waiting for, this is the exciting one. Annual town meeting is Monday, April 27th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Ayer Shirley Regional High School Auditorium. Everyone's invited. Hope everyone's going to be there. It's going to be a good time. So, all right. Anything else? I know I get all excited about town meeting, don't I? Don't you get excited about it? All right. Anyone here for public input? Chief Gill.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So I'm here tonight because I want to highlight some exemplary work of one of our members at the police department, out of the regional dispatch center to be exact. So I want to invite Matt Colley up here while I'm talking about him. Matt, would you come on up? Matt is one of our dispatchers, works day shift. And have a seat, Matt. Thanks. So, as you know, we do great work throughout the year. And I try to recognize that here and there. And at the end of the year, we have a special recognition for all the work and this kind of specialized work that we do. But sometimes we do some really outstanding work and some great work that everybody should know about what we're doing down there. So that's what brings me here tonight. I want to talk about an incident that unfolded at the dispatch center earlier this month on Monday the 6th. Now, Monday's usually kind of busy, but not really, just a lot of busy work. I'm kind of going and regrouping after the weekend. But at 1:30 Monday afternoon, Matt picked up the 911 call. And as we all know, we answer for the town of Shirley as well. So we picked up the 911 phone, and on the other end of the phone was a frantic caregiver of a toddler that was calling because they had lost track of their very young toddler while they were outside, and found the toddler in a small pond in their backyard, unconscious and drowned. Matt started the EMS heading that way. His partner, Monica, also started in with the radios and trying to take care of all of the things that happen in the background of a 911 call, and it's not just picking up a 911. It's an ongoing process, and I don't know if you've ever heard us talk about emergency medical dispatching. This is something that started several years ago that we've adopted here, and what it is we start giving medical instructions right over the phone, and that's what Matt did. So Matt had to talk first to a frantic and very nervous caregiver about what to do, and started walking through the procedures for how to perform CPR, which this person didn't know. And he was, took time to explain that you don't need to be certified. I'll walk you through it. And then proceeded to go through the steps of how to give life-saving breaths, how to give CPR to a toddler. And after the first round or two of CPR and rescue breaths, you could, and I've listened to the audio, and you could hear the faint sounds of the toddler coming to, and the people talking about how they could hear the baby clearing water. And Matt himself said, am I hearing the baby in the background? And they were yes, but kept the caller on the line, because we all know in this world that in our line of work that a drowning doesn't really just end. There's always the risk of going into it again. So Matt continued being there as support and making sure that the baby wasn't going backwards, and right up until the point that the first officer walked through. And then once the officer walked through, that's when Matt relieved that call and did that. When the EMS arrived, they realized the severity of what this call still was, and for those in the dispatch center, that call didn't end when they hang up the phone. They then had to start getting life flight ready, in the landing zone for there was over at the middle school. So they had to get the middle school, which is in session, prepared for a helicopter to land in their fields, and everything that goes along with that. Walking the fire department through, walking life flight through to the landing zone, and ultimately getting the baby to a pediatric trauma center, where we're happy to report that after a short time of intubation, that there's going to be 100% recovery. Life Flight made it a point to recognize that without that instant medical intervention that Matt offered, that this probably would have been a different story. So I'm here to absolutely recognize Matt Cawley for life-saving. And I felt this didn't need to wait until December when we have our end of the year party. This needed to be something that recognized and celebrated that the great work that Matt and his partner Monica did for that baby. So
Thank you.
awesome. So what I have here for Matt is so this is a certificate of accommodation, and this also comes with the life-saving award. So in the life-saving award, as you know from ours, you also get a life-saving pin that you can wear however you want to wear it. You can do whatever. So with that, there's this. Here's your reward.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for all the good work. Thank you.
Stressful. It was a stressful situation. Stayed calm best I could, talking through it, and thankfully we had the outcome we wanted. Thankful for the strong partners that I have.
Yep.
We have a strong crew at the dispatch.
Yeah, and I have to say that even though while they were dealing with the Shirley call, we had stuff going on in Ayer. We had about two calls going on in that front lobby.
We had several calls.
Separate calls. Everything was it was busy, and they managed to get through this and save a life. So.
Well, thank you to you and all of your team.
Thank you.
And I think, again, that this stresses the importance of teamwork and how everyone needs to know where they're supposed to go when something happens. And being trained and knowing those steps, and I can't even imagine what that must have been like for you on that call, you know, making sure that you're like, oh, I got to do this right and everything. So my hat's off to all of you. Thank you. Did you want to add anything?
No, I mean, what you did was heroic. And it goes along what we always say, we have the utmost trust and belief in all the first responders in there. So, you know, thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you very much. And to the family, I'm so happy it turned out the way it did for all of you. So,
Would you mind if we get a photo with the?
not at all. Not at all, because he definitely needs a better photo of you handing him the pin and the certificate. Okay?
That's why.
Yeah.
Chief Hoffman, yeah, sure.
Move those chairs.
Thank you very much.
These events bring out the paparazzi, you
Yes.
know? Thank you very much. Thank you again, every one of you.
Yes.
All right. Anyone else here for public input? Okay.
What?
Please state your name and address.
My name is John Monson. I'm at Madigan Lane in Ayer. 8 Madigan Lane in Ayer.
Okay. How can we help you?
I just wanted to bring something to you guys' attention. Like over the last year, I've noticed that a few cameras were going up downtown, like ones on some black posts. And I looked into it, and I noticed that the Ayer Police Department had a contract with like a company called Flock Surveillance that has automated license plate readers. And I was looking through their transparency portal, and I confirmed that they were like through Waltham's kind of database. It was saying like, yeah, Ayer was accessing our database, and I just couldn't find anything like on the contract, in like any of the history of board meetings. As far as I can tell, like the contract was never brought to this board as its own item, and it looks like it was just kind of folded into the police operating budget. So I just kind of have three asks, like if the town manager could produce this like Flock safety contract, because I'm just kind of curious about the usage and how much it's like costing the taxpayer, and second, to ask Chief Gill to post like the department's like license plate reader policy on the town website. Like I noticed that Waltham had their own policy written. I was just wondering about the Ayer PD's kind of own policy. That's kind of just what I want to bring up to the board. So
Okay.
thank you for your time.
Chief, were you able to answer any of these
I
questions?
picked up at the end, but I can. Do you mind if I come up? Yeah.
Come on up. Bring a chair. Did they get swallowed up?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I'm John Monson.
John Munson. Okay.
So, through you, Madam Chair, so John, we did receive your public records request today,
Yeah,
which we will definitely respond to,
Okay.
which had some of the stuff you were looking for. So, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I heard the end part, so I don't know what I missed in the beginning.
I was just
but-
wondering the Ayer Police Department's like license plate camera policy, and like I didn't see any like history with the contract like Flock, and I noticed the Flock cameras going around town, so I was curious looking into that and about the public records issue released about it, because
Sure.
it wasn't brought up to like the board or anything as far as I can tell online, and I kind of believe that that's something that should be brought up to like about whether or not the company Flock is going to use.
Okay. So Flock is it's called the Flock camera system. It's something that we were awarded through a grant through the I think NARAC grant system. So we worked with them. We identified some locations that we were confident that were going to be helping the town through a safety and security policy that we were going to enact and bring forward. We've had cameras up for approximately I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, but the system hasn't fully come up yet. And it hasn't been fully rolled out at the police department.
Do you think I could expect like some sort of policy on the Ayer website
Oh,
in the future about the usage?
I don't know about published, but there's definitely a policy that we have, in that once the system is ready to go fully operational and live to our PD, it's there's a training component to all our officers, and it talks about all different parts of how to use this system, how not to use this system. Who has access to the system, which I think is important to know.
Yeah.
So I know that there's, as soon as somebody does some Googling on flock safety, there's a lot of information that's out there. A lot of it is wrong. It's, unfortunately, that may, sow a little bit of the issue here. But what we're hoping to do is to bring, a new level of safety and security to the people of Ayer, and that's what this is about. What Flock doesn't do is tell us who's driving cars. It doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us about anything about a person that's in the cars. It doesn't tell us who owns them. What this is going to be used for is if there's a crime, that if we have indication that a vehicle, a license plate, was possibly utilized, we'll be able to use that information to quickly identify somebody who's been in Ayer and who's crossed one of these paths. I can tell you, off the top, that some very high-profile crime across the country has been solved with the Flock system. There's case after case, and there's been a lot of minor crime too, which is really what affects the town people in the Ayer. We want to be able to, apprehend and identify people who, commit crimes in Ayer. That's what this is all about. I know that there's been cases in Ayer that if we had this system up, we would have quickly resolved that case, and it wouldn't have turned to the areas that it turned. So that's where we're at with that Flock system. It kind of caught me off the cuff here, and I'm just kind of winging it a little bit, but that's where we're at. So I think I heard cost to taxpayer. This was fully grant funded.
Okay.
I was also just wondering the expected timeline for bringing that up and maybe posting about the policy on the website. There's nothing. There's nothing confidential enough in the policies. So I don't see any issue with that at all. We're not going to identify the locations, though they're easy to see where they're at. Those are security issues that would be redacted from any type of public records requests like that. But they are quite observable, and they're a different piece of equipment. There's been one piece of equipment that the only one that hasn't been operational, but it's the one that stands out the most that nobody's really talked about. So I was surprised by that. That this system is going to be nothing but a very next layer of safety and security for the town of Ayer. All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing it up. And I like the idea about posting that, having that policy published like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm just my interest in transparency.
no, I appreciate it, and we are too. It's with the system not up and running, we are, we don't want to hide this from from anybody. So when it comes up, fully up and running, you can expect a kind of a rollout, so to speak, that that this is here for the townspeople.
Okay.
Can I answer any questions for the board on this?
I don't have
No,
any. Do
I
you?
think you explained it very well.
No, thank you.
That was very
All right,
explanation.
thank you.
Okay.
And John, you'll get a formal response within 10 days to your request. So you'll have that info.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right. Have a nice
Thank
one. All right. Next up, Kimberly Abraham, the Water and Sewer Superintendent.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about water
Yeah, we don't want to.
and the unfun topic of drought and standard water bans and things like that. So, the good news is that we are now in a level 1 mild drought, which is upgraded from a level 3 critical drought, so that's a good thing. The other good thing is that our supplies haven't really shown the effects of this drought that we've been facing. The other good thing is that our current water permit doesn't require us to act on these drought declarations by the state, so that's why we haven't been in any kind of ban up until this point. However, May 1st is coming, and it's part of our permit that says that we need to start a outdoor watering ban from May 1st to September 30th. So I ask the select board as the water commissioners to vote that in.
So this will match the signs that are around town that have been there for years, just to
Correct.
say we're still going to do the even odd, you know, okay. So it's the standard procedure.
It's the standard, it's part of our Water Management Act permit. It's something that we have to do.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I always just like to stress that, it's because of this act, because there's all these things out there, that misinformation, and like, this is why we're doing this. So I always try to get that out there.
Thank you.
And just kind of say that it's not your fault or someone's fault, the town's
No,
fault.
if it was up to our water supply, we wouldn't even be having it, but it's part of our permit.
Yep, very good information.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to implement the outdoor water use restriction effective May 1st. Mandatory no outside water use between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and mandatory odd even outside water restrictions, meaning even numbered street addresses, water on even numbered dates, and odd numbered addresses on odd numbered dates.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Hi.
Chair says aye.
Thank you.
Even when we don't have it, I'm in my head, I'm always going, no, today's an even day, I'm an odd number, so can't do anything.
Exactly.
All right, next.
So the next thing is that we are in the process of reapplying for our Water Management Act permit, and part of that process requires us to have in our rules and regulations language that specifically speaks to seasonal limits and on non-essential outdoor water use, which we don't have. What we currently have is restrictions if the board declares a state of water supply conservation, or if the state does declares a water supply emergency. So having these seasonal limits, we don't technically have the authority to enforce the seasonal limits. And so part of the permit application is that we're required to change our rules and regulations or bylaws or ordinances to reflect that. So what I've included in the packet is some revisions, some suggested revisions. It has to go through the process of checks and review, and I believe public hearing and all that. But I will highlight that what it does is it adds the seasonal limits on non-essential outdoor water use as the reasons for restrictions, and it adds it to the definitions. And the other thing it adds is language for what is not restricted. So I think that's important. So people who are growing food are not part of the mandatory restrictions. So there's a list determined by the state that says these things are not required as part of mandatory restrictions. So that's included in the revisions. The last thing big chunk that's included is the variance request information. So we've had this all along where if people install a new lawn or something like that, they can apply for a variance request. And we take those case by case and approve or disapprove based on the conditions and what they're asking it for and all that. So those are the major revisions. There's a few little language tweaks here and there, but that's majorly what is included. Does anybody have any questions?
I can't think of any.
We've done.
No?
There's a question up there.
Yes, Rachel?
Hi, good evening, Madam Chair. Oh goodness, I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself now. I just have a question with regard to the amendment that talked about individuals that are growing food. Is that for commercial use or is that for just everyone? Thank you.
Sure. My understanding is if you are growing food for consumption, it doesn't just include commercial industries, like people who are growing like lettuce in mass to be sold to the grocery stores or something like that. It can be used if you have a garden at your home and you are growing food for yourself. That is part of the exclusion for water use restrictions, mandatory water use restrictions. But you have to be very careful that the water that the way that you are putting on that water is not getting on your lawn and is not getting on impervious walkways and things like that. You have to really make sure that it's targeting the food that you're growing.
So I think part of the problem that you're describing is that what happens sometimes is that somebody's watering something, they walk away and their intention is to just water the garden. They've walked away and now the water is spilling down the street, and that's happened. So I think it's just, like you're saying, is just keep it focused on the garden. Look, let's be honest. Some of the water is going to get on the lawn, and we're not going to panic about it because there's going to be some slippage there. But just keep it as focused as possible.
Exactly, keeping it as focused as possible. I would shy away from having one of those broad sprinkler systems that is just like really going to get the whole yard, and you're going to say, well, it is getting my garden, so then it's excluded. So I would pay attention to that, and keeping it focused, just like you say.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. So this is just phase one. You're informing us, and then it'll go through the process of hearings and things like that, right?
Right. Do we, just for my own information, do we know what the phased approach is? What are the steps that we have to go through?
For implementing the new rules or approving the new rules?
Right.
So, Madam Chair, so I think procedurally you have presented the board tonight with the proposed changes. So then I think the next step would be for the board to call a public hearing, which we would advertise the changes. The board would conduct that hearing, take testimony you'd make a presentation, take any questions from the public, and then the board would take a vote.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we can.
So let us know when we're ready. You'd need at least 2 weeks notice.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so we'll coordinate, and then my office will coordinate with you, and
Okay.
then we'll do the board will call a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, they'd take a vote on the changes, and then we would be in good shape to move forward.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
All right, next up, town manager's report.
Madam Chair, members of the Select Board, good evening. You have in your packet the warrants that were approved since the Select Board last met on April 7th. In terms of the administrative update, just a few items. Of course, the focus has been on the budget and the town meeting warrant, which as of April 7th, we're in good shape and ready for town meeting on Monday. I want to just update the board that on the Senior Center project, the Senior Center project will begin the site plan review process with the planning board starting next Tuesday, April 28th. It'll be the beginning of the site plan process. And also, as of today, the town formally submitted the CDBG grant application for the $900,000 for the project, and we'll keep the board updated once we hear back from CDBG. Couple of coming attractions in terms of as we move into May and June, which is reserve fund transfer season. We're in pretty good shape. It looks like there will be the need for a small RFP for the IT department, which will be coming to the board for before we go to the FinCom. And we're currently reviewing all accounts. I think we're in pretty good shape, but that's one small RFP that we know is on the horizon. Also, would like to come to the board, future meeting, either in May, probably in May, with the DPW director to get the board's authorization to deficit spend on snow and ice. We haven't had to do this for some time, but it was a pretty big winter. The good news is it's not a huge amount. The board would need to authorize that deficit, and then it would hit next year's free cash, but in looking at it, it won't be a significant hit. But we will have all of that information for you in advance of the meeting. As I mentioned before, the 71 Sandy Pond Working Group is going to have its final meeting on May 4th to finalize the draft of the study report that they'll be presenting to the select board on at your May 19th meeting. I think that the working group has done a great job putting together a proposal and recommendations for the board for the future of 71 Sandy Pond. So we look forward to bringing that to you. And then just related to that, Madam Chair, unless there's any questions from the board on any personnel or administrative matters, my second item, which I think you covered, is just the town meeting update. I know that the warrants arrived today by mail to all of the households.
3,500.
Yes, they have arrived. There are 28 articles and one citizen's petition. Encouraging folks to check out on the town's website, and it's on the warrant as well, the www.ayer.ma.us with the / to town meeting. Carly has put everything on that one landing page, so you will see the table of contents for each of the warrant articles that will have hyperlinks to any of the supporting documents. It also has the budget page link right there. So that page will take the public to all of the town meeting info. You've got the warrant, the budget, the budget book, and the annual budget book. Just for the public, that contains all of the specific information on the enterprise fund articles, and then the town meeting guidelines from the town moderator as well. And then you can see we will be hyperlinking additional documents as we move forward. So I believe that we're in good shape. We've started the articles of the day, which some folks may have seen on social media. The town clerk has all of the signs out both for town meeting and for the town election, which will be on May 12th. So that's my report for tonight. If there's any questions from the board, otherwise I thank you for your time.
And I mentioned to Robert, maybe we could put link the residents guide to town meeting to the Facebook page for people to see also.
I think I will do that.
Yeah, I think it's up there. It's not. I know it's under. I had to search it, so I'm not sure exactly where the page is. But yeah, we can put it on Facebook and everything too.
Yep.
So okay. All right. I know you weren't listed, but did you have any new business select board member questions?
I do not.
Okay, here
I'll
we
let
go.
you handle it.
All right. Carly, could you put up that slide I sent you, please? All right. Put it in slide mode. That makes it look better. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you highlights of this particular section of the new economic bill. If anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, please contact Senator Eldridge or Representative Senna and ask them because I'm really kind of limited. I can only tell you what I've read. And then I've also linked to where you can find the whole bill, which I think everyone should always look into. There are proposed changes to the Chapter 498 reuse plan for Devens concerning super town meeting. Okay, so the reasoning behind it is that, well, first of all, let me just back up a second. I write my notes and then I totally shred them. Okay. Super town meeting right now is where mass development comes to us and says, hey, we've got a change we need approved by the towns. And the 3 towns of Ayer, Harvard, and Shirley work with mass development and schedule a date. It all has to be on the same date. And everybody meets at their respective town. Devens residents go to the town that they are registered to vote at, which are the 3 towns. Town meeting is convened. Our town moderator holds it. And we all get the presentation of whatever it is that mass development has asked us to look at, and we vote yay or nay. The 3 towns have to be unanimous. So all towns have to say yes or no. Okay? So that's what's kind of leading us to today, as to the proposed changes. So about 2 weeks ago, so I was contacted by the president CEO of Mass Development, Navjeet Bal, to let me know that this was coming. And I says, well, what's going on? And she said that the reason for this change is that businesses have expressed a concern, and Devens residents who are registered to vote in Ayer, Harvard, or Shirley are questioning why Ayer, Harvard, or Shirley have a say in what goes on at Devens. Okay, this is what she told me. And I says, well, I says, I can understand why there's some new people that probably don't understand, because I know there's some people in the towns that don't necessarily understand. I says, but bottom line, Devens is an enterprise zone. It is not a municipality. And everyone who lives on Devens, which I believe is about 500 residents that we last heard about that, are registered to vote in Ayer, Harvard, or Shirley. Okay? It removes the provision of one town can stop an article. So example, Vicksburg Square, what was it, about 2012? Give or take a year, was approved by 2 towns and disapproved by 1 town. So the thing's dead and Vicksburg Square is still empty, which they were supposed to come back with the new thing, and then COVID, and then everybody changed over there, and then just we were all shut out and nothing's happened. So, and that this places everything under one roof, meaning the community center, which holds about 400 people. And a tent was mentioned, but I don't think a tent would be a good idea because tents are usually uncomfortable depending on the weather. I definitely said you could never do anything like that in the summer. And don't ever try to hold a town meeting in the summer anyways, because it's not nobody wants it. And so acoustics and everything. So that's where and then it would change to majority vote rules. So that's what I got, that first phone call, okay? So the next day I sent an email and said, hey, I said, by the way, what's quorum? What would be the quorum look like? And at the time she said she'd have to get back to me. And I asked, I said, where's this coming from? And she said the administration, okay? So that would be the Healy Driscoll administration, okay? I said, okay. So now flash forward, the bill gets announced last week, and this is where we need to pay attention to what the changes are, and then you need to kind of understand, if this passes, what this means. So this is what I'm seeing, all right? I'm seeing the interests of the town are removed because mass development becomes the sole authority, okay? Participation of registered voters is reduced. Each town has a quorum of at least 50 people. So that's 150 people are required in the 3 towns to show up for a town meeting and say yay or nay, okay? This would be proposing to change to one location, only 50 voters needed. So that's 100 people that are just not even needed, okay? So that's a concern, okay? If this passes, our town clerk, and in Harvard and in Shirley, would have to go to Devon's to take the attendance of the registered voters. Okay, so they would have to travel there. And there would be no requirement for this board to be there. Where there would be, we would kind of be required to be there because we would be bringing forward the town meeting. This board would not be bringing forward the town meeting. Mass Development would be bringing it forward. They would still be required to have their public forums of at least 2 public hearings, as they do now. But again, we wouldn't be involved. And when I say we, I mean this board, I mean the Harvard board, I mean the Shirley board, okay? So the towns being involved are still with, let me back up, because the sentence I wrote does not make sense now. Currently, the way it stands is if there's going to be a change, Mass Development comes to us, it says, hey, look, this is what we want to bring, and now we're going to schedule these public hearings in coordination with us. Because we're going to make sure that your information is going to get to you so that you know where this hearing is and whatnot, okay? They wouldn't have to come to us to tell us that. They could just send us a note saying, hey, this is what's going on. So what that could mean is that we don't, and I could be off base a little bit, okay? So again, this is what I'm seeing, but that could mean that we're not necessarily knowing, and when we do find out, we could be saying, hey, I know today's Tuesday, but on Thursday there's a public hearing about this, okay? Right now, the select boards of each town would collaborate together on a coordinating date of Supertown meeting and would be the board to call it. Again, Mass Development becomes the sole authority, okay? Town clerks go to Devon's, they take attendance. But there's nothing written in the bill talking about the non-registered voters section. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little concerned about that. There's a shall statement that I see things sometimes differently than other people see things. And that's not always a bad thing, because sometimes when I see things in a certain way that maybe you don't see, it causes something to be strengthened, because if I see it, that could mean somebody else is seeing it, but they just don't know to come forward and say they're seeing it too. So, you should always kind of take it as that way. I'm seeing something you're not seeing. So strengthen it so that maybe everything works, okay? So I am a little concerned because who's moderating this meeting? It's not our town moderators. It's Mass Development. And, they don't necessarily know how to run a meeting in this way. Now, I've been told numerous times over the years that Mass Development doesn't understand the town meeting process. Now, I know this is going to come as a surprise to you, but I was a little blunt, and I said, well, that's just stupid. Because, first of all, why don't they? It's literally goes on in this state. And 2, many of the people that work there have a town meeting in their town, even if it's a representative town meeting, not an open town meeting like us, should know. And if you didn't know, why wouldn't you come and ask? So again, I have real problems with those types of things, okay? And to be told this over and over again when all you have to do if you have a question is come forward, right? So that's a problem. And I'm very concerned, it would be just a yay or nay vote, okay? No amendments being made, which pretty much on Supertown meeting is the way it goes anyways. So that not necessarily changing. Again, where's the non-voter section? There's no talk about it. And I know that there are non-voters that live on Devon's. So, and I've been asked, can they vote at town meeting? No, they cannot vote at town meeting. However, they can attend town meeting. They would sit in the non-voter section. And if they wanted to ask a question, they would have to ask the question, ask the body of town meeting, may I speak? And then we would all say yay or nay. And let's be honest, when have we said no? So they would get their voices heard, but they wouldn't be a part of the count of a yay or a nay. But they would maybe be able to ask the question. So, it's these little comments and things that have been going on for a few weeks that have kind of made me bring up this, concern. Again, I could be totally off with what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, but I'm letting you know, okay? So, Mass Development would run this meeting. Well, who's doing the meeting minutes? And where are they getting posted? So, ours, we know our town clerk takes the vote. How's the vote going to be taken? Is our town clerk going to vote? Are they going to say how many in Ayer are here and say yay or nay? I mean, how are you doing this so that you can register and make sure that somebody is doing the vote accurately, right? Who's taking the meeting minutes? And where are they getting posted? We know that, we can go to our town clerk and ask a question, and we know that even some of this stuff appears in the annual town report. Where is this going to be? I don't know. I'll also remind you that the decision for jurisdiction is in about 7 years. So why now? These businesses, not understanding, well, I'm sorry. I don't understand why they don't understand. When you come to a community, you just abide by the rules of that community. And these are the rules, okay? Now, I can understand the desire to update a process. You know that. I don't think this is the way to do it. I mean, you could update a process to say, instead of, one town being able to kill everything, say majority vote, and then say that at super town meeting, each town meeting, Ayer, Shirley, Harvard, you've got to take a vote count of the actual yays and nays, and then you get it to Mass Development and say, okay, we had 60 yeses and we had 40 noes, or vice versa, and then it's majority vote. I think that could be a proposed change to super town meeting, because I'm not opposed to some tweaks, but I don't think it's right if the residents of Devens are registered in Ayer, Shirley, or Harvard to vote, so they're driving over here to their respective town halls to vote, then why can't they show up at town meeting? Why are we having to leave a municipality to go to an enterprise zone? So, I think what's needed is better coordination between Mass Development and the towns. On that note, I'm going to segue a little bit. Mass Development has joined the Devens Jurisdiction Framework Committee again, and I'm very happy about that. And we do expect them to attend again in the future. Okay? Now, back to this. I think that there are some problems with this. So Senator Eldridge contacted me Friday and asked me, he said, have you seen it? And I said, I looked at it and I said, these are my initial thoughts on it. Of course, a couple days later, I come up with some other questions. I said, one, I do not like the fact that we weren't a part of the conversation. That's very disturbing. I says that I am very concerned that this is, and I asked specifically, is this, not to Senator Eldridge, to Najib Ball, I said, is this an attempt to end round jurisdiction? And she said, this has nothing to do with jurisdiction. This is coming from the administration. Okay. Jurisdiction decision is due in 7 years. Can you not see where I might be asking that question? Okay, so I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I am a little bit today, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I am just not, I'm not liking, let's just say, the optics on this one, okay? What I feel like this is doing is putting up a do not enter sign. It's like a phase one of like, we don't want you. Now, if jurisdiction does go back, again, these are all ifs. There has to be a report, it has to go get sent, Senate's got to, state's got to vote, yada, yada, yada. But if jurisdiction was to go back to the towns, how are we not being included in a potential change? Again, I think that there's going to be some tweaks. I think that there are different tweaks that be needed, but to basically kind of cut us out, which I feel like this is what it's doing, I think is wrong. So Senator Eldridge knows, I talked to him, and then I followed up with an email, and he knows that I can be blunt, and he knows I'm not happy, and I don't think Harvard's happy, and I haven't talked to Shirley. Okay? So that's what I know. I suggest that everyone go look at the bill, because there's other stuff in this bill. That's only one piece. That Chapter 498 changes are on page 53, which is, if you're looking at the PDF, it's 56, but the page number is 53. But you should look at the whole bill to see what else is being brought up. Okay, so that's what I have, and I'm bringing it to you, and if you have any questions, contact them. Okay? All right. Whew. I think I got everything. Yeah, okay. All right.
Can we put that on the website, that slide, or, the link to the bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get a post out.
Okay. All right, so thank you. So next up, I have a next gen update. So I met with Gina on Thursday, and she gave me an update, and there's a lot, and it's all positive. So the application, now that's for the Keep the Lights On in Mass initiative, where we come up with our own microgrid, yada, yada, for anybody who's gotten lost on that one. Okay. The application for the $5 million grant was submitted with 11 letters of support to include Senator Eldridge, the town of Ayer, Harvard, Shirley Select Boards, Nashua River Watershed, Sudbury Valley Trustees, American Council on Renewable Energy, ACORN, Harvard Climate Initiative Community, Harvard Fire EMS Department, and Sandia National Laboratories, who are out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They're not a part of this, but I guess they know about it, and so they're throwing their support. The grant decision is expected in June. 5 definite towns now engaged. That would be Ayer, Harvard, Shirley, Lancaster, and Bolton. A proposed tour of a microgrid facility is being set up with Sunder Electric Grid in Andover, and Harvard would be hosting it because they're the ones that brought it to us. Okay. Previously, it was stated that each town would need to cough up $75,000 for the study. Wrong. Next Gen is going to match each town with 37.5K, so that's a 50% reduction. So should this town go forward with it, it would only cost us $37.5 for the study. Okay, so that's really good news. Okay. What is needed now is for each town to provide a list of metered municipal assets, recent electric bills, and potential site locations to begin site screenings. One of the things that was mentioned when we were talking is potential of, building, say for example, at the school over the parking lots, coverings that are solar panels, okay? There are potentially other grants available, and this is being so widely received that there's a potential of ending up statewide, but we would be the first. So this is moving forward in a very positive direction. Again, as we go forward, anything that comes up will be brought to this table so that all of you will know. Okay? And I think that pretty much covers what I had. So, all right. So, with that, we have meeting minutes next. I didn't see any.
Yes, the resubmitted ones look good, and I have no issues with either.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 17th, 2026.
Seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
And chair says aye. Those meeting minutes are approved.
And I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 7th, 2026.
Seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
And chair says aye. So the meeting minutes are approved. And if there's nothing else,
Then, okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Good night, everybody.